request to speak cards turned in. Alright. So, receive a report and hold a discussion and take action on approving the minutes from the Parks and Rec Commission meeting held on September 26, 2024. Any discussion? Any motion to accept?
Motion.
Any second?
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Alright, motion passes. Moving on to item B, receive a report, hold a discussion, and take action on setting dates for the 2025 Parks and Rec Commission Board meeting. So it looks like we got two options there. I know I have a golf tournament on February 24th. Other than that, I think I'm good on anything.
I like option one.
Y'all are good with option one?
Yep.
Got a motion?
Motion.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Option one it is. There's Ryan. Alright, moving on to item C. Receive a report, hold a discussion, and take action on the proposed name change of the mini park.
Good morning, afternoon. My name is Brian Hander. Let's dive right into it. Okay, so the reason we kind of wanted to change the name of Mini Park is I worked on part with the city of a neighborhood naming group that were trying to get all the neighborhoods in Denison with their name. They used to be called back in the day, and different areas like Old Town, North Town, the West End, Royal Ridge, those kind of things, Chelsea Park. And one of those things was trying to kind of get a little ownership for each neighborhood in their area. So what we did was map out if there was a park in that area, churches, that kind of thing. And Mini Park falls in the Old Town neighborhood. But Mini Park doesn't really have a name. It's just kind of, just is Mini Park. So what we kind of started doing, I tried to find out the history of the area. I've got a map of it on the back. So just so you know, this is the park at Fannin and Morton, right next to the old Mini Faces. And what it was back in the 50s, this couple, the Johnsons, bought land. They bought their house at 501 West Sears, and they got all the land that the park is on too, because all that creek goes kind of by that house and through. So in the 70s, they donated that land to the city to be a park. According to the family, they donated it, and it was going to be called Johnson Park. But that never really happened. It just kind of became known as Mini Park. When I was trying to do research on this, I posted it on some Denison groups, and everyone was immediately like, oh yeah, that's Jones Park by Houston. I love that park. So I'm assuming that's why the city never named it that, because Jones and Johnson would be really confusing. So I met with the niece of this couple, and she met with the family over Thanksgiving and everything, and what they had kind of thought was maybe if they were amenable to the name change to Old Town, what they wanted to know was if we could do like a plaque to kind of honor the couple and their donation of the park to the city. So what we would do, kind of we're just seeing what your thoughts were, what y'all thought about the name change. Our neighborhood would be paying for all the signage to be changed out, and we'd be paying for the plaque. So it wouldn't come out of Parks budget at all or anything like that. If you haven't been over there lately, it got new playground equipment, it got a new pavilion. Our neighborhood bought 2 picnic tables, and we installed those, and then we bought a live oak tree that's gotten installed as well. So kind of that's where we're at. What questions do y'all have for me?
Are there any other suggestions, or is Old Town Park, that's it?
Well, so Old Town, so that the neighborhood's known as Old Town. Mm-hmm. So we thought we'd do Old Town Park so that we didn't name it after anybody, because that gets really hard. It gets really confused. So we just thought Old Town Park, that's kind of the name of that area. It comes from, like, back in the day, that was the original town plat, so all of it says OTP. So over the time, people thought that meant Old Town, so they started calling it Old Town. It kind of goes from Gandy to Morton, from Austin over to Tone. It's kind of that neighborhood.
Does anybody have a recommendation to change the name of the mini park to Old Town Park?
I just had a quick question on the picture there. This is the property, and then the other property.
So, sorry, so I kind of did, so this was all the land the Johnsons owned, so they owned where, the Ruckers owned that barbecue, they used to own that back in the day,
Okay,
back in the 50s. And then 501's their house, so from here over, this is the park,
Oh, yeah,
right at that corner, right where you can kind of
Just
see
where
that
it's at
square.
now, where it
Yeah,
sits.
I was just kind of doing it to show you where they used to own property,
Gotcha.
kind of
Gotcha.
around there.
Okay.
Any motions?
I motion to change it. I like it.
So we got a motion to change,
Second.
got a second, all in favor? Any opposed? Okay.
Thank y'all. And I didn't add, if something happens and we rename it and everybody freaks out, I've already talked to park staff and the neighborhood will just rescind it'll be okay. So, no, we've got a backup plan.
Right.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, Brian. Okay, moving on to D, receiver report, hold a discussion on current and upcoming recreation programs and events.
Good afternoon, Commission. Good afternoon, Chairman, Mr. Means. I'm Andrew Means, Recreation Manager for the Parks Department. At this time, I'm going to provide everybody with some event and program updates from this fall season and from the previous meeting. Beginning with Yellow Jacket Tailgating, we hosted 5 events in conjunction with home varsity football games this season. The largest 2 attended events were the first 2, the Battle of the Axe and then the homecoming event. On September 25th, we hosted our first senior event in conjunction with Senior Citizens Month, being the month of September. We wanted to put together something unique for our senior citizens. So our team collaborated and came up with the idea of hosting a Friendly Feud event, which was very well received. It was very popular. We had Mr. Racy Guest that came in and emceed the event. And we had 4 teams that participated with great feedback. So that is something that we want to continue to push forward in the future. On October 4th, we hosted our 31st annual Senior Fishing Festival. And that was put on in conjunction with the Sherman Senior Center and Texas Parks and Wildlife. It was a beautiful day for the event, and we had a total of about 110 participants, including volunteers and staff present. On October 26th, we hosted a pumpkin painting party. This is something that we've done in conjunction with Story Walk events in the past, but we made it a standalone event this October, which was highly participated. We had roughly 100 participants that came out and enjoyed pumpkin painting, different activities, a bounce house, snacks. Once again, another brand new event that we put on this past October. And then Denison on Ice, returning for its 9th season this year, kicked off on November 16th and will conclude on January 5th. It was moved to a new location this year at 111 West Main Street, which is right across from the Katy Depot and the police department. And the space is much larger this year in compared to years past, which has been a bright spot for us. It allowed us to expand on our skater-ready area. We were able to add more benches and picnic tables, offer more programming opportunities. One thing that we've done this year too is we've added vendors to the event, so we are soliciting vendors to come out and to set up along Main Street and Houston Street during the operations. And to date, we've had over 2,200 skaters thus far, with this being our 3rd week of operation. It's brought in over $26,000 in revenue currently. Our sponsorships are up this year compared to years past. We have over $41,000 in committed cash sponsorships and another $57,000 plus for in-kind sponsors, which is a record-setting season for us. And we also have 30 schedule private parties this year, which is nearly double what we did last year. Moving along, fall program summary. Some of these are senior center target activities. Lunch and Learns, we have done a total of 10 sessions this past year. Those have shown to be very popular in nature with an average of 20 to 25 people in attendance. Some of the topics for the Lunch and Learns included financial stability, defending against scams, benefits of gardening, home security tips, and fire safety and smoke alarm programs. On October 16th, staff hosted a holiday craft event for seniors in conjunction with library staff, and we had a good turnout for that. Our popular chair volleyball program that we host at the Senior Center continues to grow in popularity. We have now expanded to enough participants to put together 4 teams to participate. And what was 1 day a week is now expanded to 2 days a week for that operation. And then we bring in other entities to play against our mighty dragons, so to speak, like the Denison Fire Department, Denison Police Department, which has been very well received. Vitality Fit, that's held on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and this class is designed for active aging adults to enhance their wellness journey through muscle strengthening, increased endurance, improved range of motion and balance, and fall prevention, with an average of 15 to 20 participants twice a week. And then our popular Pilates in the Park just recently concluded back in mid-October. That's been very well received at THF Park. Upcoming events. As I mentioned before, we're currently in the middle of Denison on Ice, and that will run all the way through January 5th. Our popular Wonders of Winter event is coming up, and that will be next Friday at Forest Park. Our Howard Kaler Adult Fishing Derby will take place on January 4th. The Family Fellowship Trout Derby on January 25th. Our Collegiate Winter Blast Softball Tournament that will be held February 14th and 15th at Texoma Health Foundation Park. The Youth Trout Derby will take place February 22nd. Our popular Daddy-Daughter Dance will take place on March 8th. And something new that we are partnering with an LC group this year is we're going to be bringing in former standout Oklahoma softball players, Kenzie Hansen and Jada Coleman. They're going to be putting on a heavy hitters camp at THF Park on March 15th. So registrations are currently open for that event, and we expect a large turnout, not to mention potential heads and beds. And then on March 29th, Mother-Son Party. Moving along to Texoma Health Foundation Park updates for the fall season. Texoma Soccer began play on September 7th and concluded on 11/4. They had 124 youth teams this fall season and 11 adult teams that played on Sunday afternoons. Denison Youth Sports Baseball began on 9/23 and concluded on 11/18. They had a total of 27 fall teams this past fall season, consisting of teams in 6U, 8U, 10U, and 12U. And they also hosted 4 buddy ball events for those with special needs. And the Boys and Girls Club softball program began on 9/9 and concluded on 11/7. They had 20 teams participate this fall season and offered 8U, 10U, 12U, 14U, and high school age. THF Park was host to 10 tournaments. 4 being baseball, 6 being softball, with a total of 245 teams this fall season. Something that I really want to take a moment and just kind of brag on our staff. This was a record-setting year for THF Park in so many ways, from programs and visitors to the number of tournaments. And even in our concession stand, we brought in just north of $250,000 this year. Tournament revenues totaled almost $80,000, and then player fees from spring and fall leagues was over $31,000. Rentals and registration, $44.40. Kona Ice Give Back, they come out and set up during special events and leagues and tournaments, and we get 20% kickback on their sales, and that totaled over $8,000 this year. And then the Winter Blast brought in almost $11,000. It's been a tremendous season, a tremendous year for our team of not just continuing to do some of our popular annual activities, but also implementing some new events that we've done that have been highly successful. So I do want to take that moment and brag on our great team over here. They've done a tremendous job. So that concludes our program and event updates, and no action is needed, but if you have any questions, I am available.
How are the numbers on the ice? Is it up?
The numbers are very consistent with last year, so our revenue to date is actually up. The number of skaters is pretty consistent with last year, but we look for that to increase dramatically, especially with 30 private parties alone scheduled. That should boost our numbers big time.
The Wonders of Winter, what is that?
So Wonders of Winter is it's a large community event that we put on annually. Unfortunately, last year it was canceled due to weather. But for the past 2 years, we've hosted that at Forest Park. It started traditionally at THF Park, but it's a Christmas, fun family event that we invite, the entire region to come out and partake. It consists of, carnival-style rides, to lots of vendors, petting zoo. We'll have lots of food trucks on site, a lot of different activities, a snow play zone for kids to play in, trains that will drive around the park consistently. So it's a 3-hour event to the public that is free, minus some of the vendors and food options that we'll be charging.
Is it like an evening deal?
It's in the evening from 5:30 to 8:30, and that'll be next Friday at Forest Park.
Anything else? All right, thank you.
Thank you all.
Okay, moving on to item E. Receive report and hold a discussion regarding the Waterloo Pool repairs.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Thank you for having me. I know the pool has a lot of long-standing issues, so I'm just going to kind of hit the highlights, and if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them for you. The pools, of course, need significant repairs. That was kind of well discovered before 2023, but it really kind of kicked off in 2023. 2 different firms evaluated various aspects of the pool, and it brought ideal repairs in order to bring the facility to standard conditions, estimated at around $4.9 million. Of course, we did not have that funding, so we have been kind of reevaluating the priorities of those repairs to kind of focus on more of the emergency aspects, those items that are really deemed necessary in order to produce a safe environment and a healthy environment for our staff and for our community members that utilize the pool. What we have come up with in working with contractors is to utilize funding from certificate of obligation, so basically financing, $500,000 that will be funded through our aquatics fund in order to complete these emergency repairs. Those emergency repairs will include providing reinforcement, structural stability with a modified scope from what that originally looked like with a much higher cost value. In addition to that, it'll be looking at repairing and or installing equipment and infrastructure that will kind of further the longevity of the repairs of the enclosures, things like an air exchange system. Those repairs were approved through council on November 18th, so we are actively moving forward with contractors. We have placed press releases and public announcements out so that we can kind of educate the public before this happens. We've utilized social media, our website, and then of course we've made personal communication to partners such as the Denison ISD. Our pool is expected to close as of Sunday, And so starting Monday, we will start repairs, and the repairs will primarily start to the enclosure itself. And as we work through that, then we will start working on the other items. That way we can fix the reinforcement of the structure before we really start adding those other components like air exchange systems and things of that nature. That's all I have as far as updates. If you have any questions about more on the background of how we got there or anything else, I'd be happy to answer for you.
How long will it be closed?
So right now, we are estimating about 3 months. We have not got the timeline back from the engineers, from the contractor just yet, so we're kind of waiting on what that looks like, but we're estimating it at about 3 months. Of course, we will update the public as we progress so that everybody understands whether or not that's shorter or on track, hopefully not longer.
And what's the time frame for this? Say you said the 500,000, basically to repair and get it back to where we can use it. How long is that estimated to be for?
As far as like the longevity of the repairs, it should give us, hopefully, as far as speaking with the contractor, between 5 and 10 years with a solid preventative maintenance program. Part of the issue was that the pool was originally designed to be an outdoor facility, and then when it was enclosed later, it wasn't adequately placed to take on the chemicals and things like that that can corrode a metal structure. This part of the repairs that we'll be doing as far as the structural stability will be to provide the coating that will protect it. And then, of course, the air exchange will help to kind of move some of that gas and things of that nature. So we've been told, as long as we're very active on monitoring the coating and making sure everything kicks on when it needs to as far as air exchange, that it could get us 5 to 10 years, which will be basically getting us to the original life of the structure itself. So.
Are there plans for the swim team?
So that was one of our first communications as far as notifying them that it was going to go down. They have been in conversation with Austin College. Unfortunately, this time there's a lot of conflicting because Sherman ISD is utilizing the facility in addition to Austin College's swim team. So as of right now, I don't think that partnership has been solidified for them to utilize that. We are still in conversation, but at this point in time, I don't know what that looks like for them.
Last time there was an issue, they ended up going to Tanglewood.
It's quite a bit smaller, but it's still
Yep.
in the water.
Anything else? All right, thank you, Linda.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to item F, receive a report and hold a discussion regarding park improvement updates.
Good afternoon, Parks Commission and Chair. I'm Chip Egger. I wanted to start with some updates on some of our projects that we have ongoing and upcoming. So we had the Eisenhower bust restoration that occurred last month. As you can see in the photo on the left, that was the before, and over on the right is our after. This consisted of just a good cleaning of the bust and the base and the bricks below it, repairing any visible cracks and spalling areas, and completing a recoat of the entire bust. Really made a nice difference. The pictures, I don't think, do it justice. This was a project that came in well under budget. They were able to complete this for just a little over $27,000, and they had substantially more to work with. Next project that we have kicked off is we're going to be doing the restoration of our trestle bridge out at the Waterloo Lake. So this is in between the spillway and the horseshoe pits at Waterloo Lake, if you're not familiar with this bridge. This is going to be another facelift, so we're going to be removing all of the lumber, sandblasting the steel structure, prep and repaint the framework, install new lumber on the treads and the railings, stain all of the lumber. We are also putting this together with bid options to replace all of the lumber with like a Trex material instead of doing lumber, something that's going to be a little bit longer lasting. We've already started receiving some quotes back, and we're very encouraged. So all of the quotes that we've received so far are within budget, so we know this is a project that we're going to be able to move forward with pretty quickly. A few more projects here. These are ones that I believe y'all are familiar with. So we've got the Jones Park Pickleball Court, Munson Park Multi-Surface Court, and the Waterloo Lake Backyard Pavilion. These three projects require design to come from a landscape architect, just with the scope of them. We've entered into an agreement with Hewitt Zollers to put these designs together, and that's what we're looking at here right now. Surveys have been completed, and we have recently received these preliminary designs and estimated cost for each of these projects. Again, that was the Jones Park pickleball courts, Munson Park multi-surface court, and pavilion structure to be constructed at the Waterloo Lake backyard. Currently, we're evaluating the approach. Evaluating the approach for the proposed construction on these to make sure that we can stay within the allocated funds for each of these projects. With that said, we've had several comments concerning the multi-surface court at Munson and the pavilion at the backyard. Staff had proposed additional projects, not in lieu of, but in addition to the projects that you've been looking at here. Those projects were new restrooms at the backyard also, and new restrooms at Munson Park, more centrally located. Those projects were not selected to move forward with this year. The only reasoning for that is we didn't have the funding to do all of these projects. What I would like to have a discussion with this commission about is there interest in the possibility of rearranging some of these projects to do restrooms at these facilities, at Munson and Waterloo, or Munson or Waterloo, one or the other, none of the above. Really just a discussion. This is not an action item, just really testing to see how this commission feels about moving forward with one of those projects instead of either the multi-surface court at Munson Park or the pavilion at Waterloo. And at that, open it up for discussion.
Go ahead.
And you're saying to do the funding, or is that the reason why we're talking about
Yes.
one or the other, or whatnot?
Yes.
Are we expecting anything? I mean, is that something in the future that we could do? Because I mean,
Oh, definitely.
I would like to look at doing them all at the same time, instead of choosing one over the other,
That was initially our intention as well. When these were submitted in the budget, all of the projects were actually submitted, but there was only enough money to do. The projects that were selected, there wasn't a major reason why one was selected over another. So if there was support from this commission, we could look into what it would take to facilitate a restroom in lieu of one of those projects, or both of those projects, or continue as is.
Which one is getting used the most?
I tell you what, all of them are being pretty heavily utilized right now. Munson Park is very heavily utilized, and the Waterloo backyard, with all of the additions that have come in the past year, is just an extremely utilized area. And again, this is not an action item. This is just really to get a discussion started.
So there are working restrooms at both facilities. They're just not ideal.
They're not ideal. So some of the issues that we have at Munson Park is the restrooms that we have there are aged, and they are located at one end of a very large park. The desire would be to have something a little bit more centrally located and more towards some areas where we are planning on doing some additional programming and additions with the future multi-surface courts. So having those at the at the south end of the park, and no restroom, with the exception of the stream north end of the park, is challenging. So there have been many comments, is it possible to have updated restrooms and more centrally located in the park? That's the situation at Munson Park. At the Waterloo backyard, there are functional facilities there, but they are deteriorating, especially with the excessive use. I wouldn't call it excessive, but with the extra use that we have received now that the backyard has become such a popular place to be. The thought is we're looking to put in a brand new pavilion, a shiny new toy there at the Waterloo backyard, standing right next to the restrooms, which are obviously in need of help. Should we be doing this in reverse? Should we put together shiny new restrooms and then look to build our pavilion next to that?
What's your opinion?
I am here to discuss with the commission. Thank you for asking, though.
Yeah. So would doing both restrooms be the option first and then the pavilion come after?
So all of these projects would have to stay within current funding. The way I would approach the restrooms at Waterloo would be to create the restrooms basically where they are now. If there is cost savings in being able to reutilize some of the infrastructure that's there, that will be our first choice. And if there is anything that we can do within this project to literally lay the foundation for a pavilion within this project, making the pavilion a more cost-effective option for a future year, whether it be next year or a year after, that would be our intention. A pavilion is definitely requested and is definitely needed there.
So with the Munson, multi-surface court, that's going, there's existing bathrooms right there, those would be taken out?
The existing restrooms at Munson would remain. That is at the extreme north end of the park. Where the multi-surface court is being proposed, this is at the extreme south of the park, so actually right off of Vaughn Drive. And in fact, you can actually see it, well, maybe not on this small print, but it is really as far north as you could be in the park. There actually used to be a set of playground equipment that was there a few months ago, and that was removed in preparation of putting this in. There used to be a set of temporary restrooms centrally located in the park, and those were vandalized beyond repair. That would be the area that we are looking to put those back in. I'm sorry, I don't have a map of that proposed location at the moment, but definitely something that can be talked about and considered for the future.
I personally would be in favor of bathrooms at each facility over the pavilion, personally.
I second that. That's kind of my thought too.
Gotcha. And again, these are not necessarily action items, but
Yeah,
if this commission had was supportive of us looking into, is it feasible for us to do those things? We wouldn't want to do it without the support of this commission. So at this point in time, we would be looking into it.
Financially looking at the numbers to see
Yes.
what would be feasible.
Okay. All right, thank you. Are there any other questions on anything that I've gone over here? Sounds good. Thank you very much.
All right, with that being done, we are done. Appreciate y'all being here.